Ken is a former Fulbright lecturer and Kripalu Scholar in Residence, and he has offered workshops worldwide since 1975. His CD, Yin Yoga, is a Kripalu bestseller. He is currently writing a book about the tools that link the heart and the mind, creating the conditions for group wisdom. If you are interested in learning more after the presentation, please feel free to grab some of the materials that are at the front desk in the lobby of the Whaling Museum and to sign up for Ken's e-newsletter as well. So please join me in welcoming Ken Nelson and Leslie Ling.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Lindsay, for that
Thank you so much.
introduction. Well, weather happens in Nantucket. I thought it was sunny all the time. So we've been here 3 days and we haven't had any water. And now, when I stepped out from our 99 Main Street, the river was like this deep. It's like a torrent. It's wonderful. So here we are. And thank you for all showing up. I'm really pleasantly surprised to see so many people here. How many of you just come to these talks on a regular basis? Like, okay, and some of you, this is your first time to the lunchtime talks. How many have a brown bag and are going to be eating while we're up here? Okay, we won't take that personally. Just by way of how did we get here? You know, we don't normally stand up and do presentations. We normally do workshops and groups, and we normally work in a circle, and we have participation, and we're going to invite some participation from everybody today, so we're not going to be doing any high-tech presentation. You'll notice there's no screen, no clickers, no PowerPoints, so any entertainment value will come from inside of yourselves. You all okay with that so far? Okay. Yeah, we're mostly very low-tech in the work that we do in our field of offering people ways and tools to connect a heart and mind, to feel more centered and integrated in yourselves. Just how did we get here is an interesting, well, we flew over from the vineyard, that's how we got here. But Stacy Murray here of the NHA was at Kripalu Center. Now Kripalu is in Lenox, Massachusetts. Anybody know about Kripalu Center? It's a wellness and yoga center. Wow. A lot of you know. Okay, so she is a frequent guest over there, and she at one point had taken a Qigong class with Ken and made a mental note to self, I gotta work with that man again. How is this gonna happen? So she filed that away and just started growing it as a seed invitation for herself to somehow get more of this or get this to Nantucket. And so she saw on our schedule that we were going to be on Martha's Vineyard, and she just took the chance and emailed and said, hey guys, would you like to just hop over here and piggyback on that journey and come here? So that's how we're here. Thank you very much to the Nantucket Historical Association. We've been so warmly welcomed right from the beginning, being picked up at the airport. This is our first visit. Our first visit to Nantucket, and I can't say there's so much I'd like to say about it, but the people so far have been so warm and welcoming, and just thank you from the bottom of my heart for your open arms. So, and thank you to all the people, the team in the NHA who made this all happen. So everybody, big breath in, and long breath out. Anything you'd like to say before I move into the next piece here?
I'd like to offer my gratitude too for this. It's a very warm invitation. And we're going to start with a centering now. And centering is a way to connect the body and the mind through the breath. And Leslie will be helping us do that. And I'm going to sit and center myself while you do that.
Okay. So throughout the next 45 minutes together, we're going to be talking. We're going to be having experiences together. We might even have you stand up at one point and sit back down. So there's going to be a nice flow between us here and you, so that, you know, we'll quickly all become real good friends. I know some people here, but by the end of the 45 minutes, I think I will feel very connected, like I've known you all my life. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to be asking you if you are eating and you'd like to continue eating, be aware that you're eating and use the next couple of minutes as a way to eat mindfully. If you're not going to be eating and you'd just like to join in this experience, this exercise, I'm going to invite you to begin to just get comfortable in your seat. If you can, gently have your hands in your lap, both feet on the ground if that's possible. Yeah, a little stretch is good. I see just a couple people doing a little stretch. Just get some wiggles out. Get some of the wiggles out. And begin your awareness. Bring your awareness to here and now. Okay. I know there was a little turbulence getting here, a little wading, a little swimming. You know, there was a little excitement perhaps, trying to get here on time. Any events that happened before you came here, let them be where they are. They're in the past. Any conversations you might have had, any thoughts and feelings that are still swirling from before you came in, just let those settle. They might be there when you, at the end of 45 minutes, they might not. Any thoughts and plans for what you're going to do after you leave here? You'll think about that later, okay? Take breath in. And long breath out. So I'm going to invite you to, if you wish, gently close your eyes or look softly down. I'm going to be starting to bring the awareness, bring the attention closer to home, closer to self, closer to the body. I invite you to take a breath in, and with an open mouth, just sigh it out. And another breath in through the nose. And one more time. This is called a relaxing breath. Sensing the space, any noise, the hum of the building. Become aware of your body. You maybe feel the beat of your heart in your chest. Feel your body in the seat. Where does the chair touch your buttocks, your legs, your back? Just beginning to notice and become aware. Sensation. The language of the body is sensation, feeling. So just feeling what's happening in your body, just noticing any areas that are speaking to you. You know, maybe there's a little digestion going on from eating. Maybe a little tension in the shoulders. Whatever it is, just notice what's happening in the body. Take a body scan. Noticing sounds in the field. Welcoming everything that is. Welcoming sound, welcoming feelings. Welcoming thoughts. Thoughts are coming, thoughts are going. Thoughts about thoughts are happening, okay? This is just a moment to really welcome yourself here. All of yourself. And in the next 2 minutes, I'm going to offer you an exercise of breathing, okay? It's only going to be for 2 minutes. It's not going to be forever. And here's how it's going to go. You're going to breathe in And as you breathe in, you're going to say to yourself inside, you're going to say, breathing in. And when you breathe out, you're going to say to yourself inside yourself, breathing out. So, breathing in and breathing out. So I'm going to let you do that for the next 90 seconds or so, and I'll be watching the time. And at the end of that, I'll let you know when the breathing in and breathing out exercise is over. Okay. If your mind wanders away from the task at hand, gently bring yourself back to breathing in and breathing out. Nothing left to do. Just breathing. This is called attention training. You're attending to what's happening. And breathing in and breathing out, that's all that's going on here. And 30 seconds left. Okay, so before we leave this experience, just think about why it is that you came here today, what brings you here. Maybe you're curious, open-minded, maybe you come to learn something. Maybe the topic of today's talk was interesting to you. Maybe you would like to inquire deeper about what is the mind-body connection and what does it mean to you. Maybe you just needed to sit for 45 minutes in a place that wasn't called work or whatever else you would be doing today. So whatever it was that just, why you came here today, just mentally make a note of that. And we're going to end the experience now. So everybody a long breath in and sigh it out with a ah. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes and keep your gaze nice and soft. As I said, we're not going to be showing you anything that you need to look at. You don't even need to concentrate really hard. This is a soft exchange. I like to feel as if we're actually having a conversation, which we are on an energetic level, although I'm up here speaking. Okay? So, just curious. That was a very simple exercise, breathing in, breathing out for 2 minutes. How many found that really easy and you could, do the task at hand? 1, 2, 3. Okay, quite a few of you. That's wonderful. How many felt like, oh, I couldn't do that. I had to bring myself back. And okay, one honest person in the room, okay? What's your name again? Ken?
And
Thank you. So it's interesting. Sometimes these practices feel very, very simple. And yet, the nature of the mind is to be all over the place. Now, as Ken sometimes says, the mind is a time traveler. The mind can be in outer space, and you can be like this, breathing in, breathing out, and still there's could be a lot happening in the field. So, anybody else have any other experience that you'd like to share? Just name it, popcorn out. Anything that happened for you during that experience? Yes. You noticed anxious. She tends to get anxious doing breathing exercises. Anything else? You felt the group connection. Mm-hmm. Yes. Longer, deeper breaths toward the end as opposed to the beginning. See, these are just awarenesses. Everybody's experience is very different. Any other awarenesses that you'd like to share? Okay. So, welcome. That's what we would call a centering in the work that we do. It just brings everybody on board as best we can be here now. Okay, and I'm going to turn it over to Ken, who will tell you a little bit more about how we approach the mind-body, the view and the practice in our worldview.
Thank you. So I'd like to follow up with a little experiment of attention. So if you'll just take your attention now and just watch my hand go across, back and forth, and just notice. So the next question is, are you breathing? Anybody breathing? You're breathing. So we have some meditators in the group, right? Any other comments? Did you kind of stop breathing for a moment when the attention is anchored on something exterior to the mind-body? Anybody had that experience? Great. So the body and the mind are often separated. In between we have the breath. So the breath is really the key to bringing attention back to the body-mind, back to the self. And we live in crazy busy world today. How about alarms, car alarms, fire alarms, cell phones. So the attention is like this. It keeps coming outside the body into the exterior world. So you can think of this as anything that draws the attention away from the present moment. And with the cell phone, how many of you are carrying cell phones? Wow, just about everybody. Yeah. I don't. So I think I'm one of the few remaining. How many don't carry cell phones? Maybe 5 or 6 of you. Interesting, isn't it? We have, the researchers tell us there's 3 kinds of attention. There's the alerting attention, attention that alerts you to the exterior world. So a fire alarm, a cell phone, a car alarm goes off, and the mind goes in that direction. There's orienting attention that moves the mind in different directions in different, either through the past or into the future, oftentimes in the past and into the future. And then there's executing attention. It's when you're focused on a task. And researchers really tell us that multitasking is really challenging to actually be more productive, to be more efficient, to be less stressed. So that the multitasking attention, where attention moves constantly to the exterior world, let's say you're doing emails and there's a conversation next door in the adjoining neighboring desk. And so the attention is just going away from that important email you do. And you get a chance to orient toward that or orient back to your important email that you're writing. So every moment is a moment of mindfulness. It's a potential moment for mindfulness. And so we get to choose moment by moment. So there's this factor of attention, and there's also the factor of intention and perspective. So let's do another experiment These are kind of experiential tools that we use to help people orient to the present moment and notice where the mind is. So if you take your index finger, start at the level above your eyes and draw a clockwise circle on the ceiling. Clockwise circle on the ceiling, as if you're drawing from 12 to 3 to 6 to 9, 12, 3, 6, 9, and around clockwise. Okay. Bring that clockwise circle down to the level of your eyes, and then below the level of your eyes. And just notice, is it clockwise? You want to try this one again? Kids love this one. Yeah, your kids will love it. Try it above the level of your eyes and do a clockwise circle on the ceiling. 12, 3, 6, 9. Clockwise circle. And then bring it down to the level of your eyes. And then below the level of your eyes. Take a look. Is it clockwise? So what happened? Why is this interesting? Yours is clockwise? Yeah. So if you're pointing in this direction, but if you're pointing upward, yeah, keep the plane of the finger in the same plane. Yeah. Right. So is it clockwise or counterclockwise? Counterclockwise? Yeah. So what does this tell us about perspective? It depends very much how you're looking at something. Are you looking at it from above or from below? Are you seeing the glass half full or half empty? It's a question of perspective. And a lot of this has to do with our intention, how we attend to things, and what intention we bring. So I'm going to ask you to do another practice. How easy was it for you to focus your mind on the intention? Remember, Leslie offered you the practice of just focusing on the breath, breathing in, breathing out. And then she asked you, what brings you here? Anybody want to offer what brings you here? Desire to learn, to be inspired. So let's take another way of focusing the attention on intention. That is, reason for, purpose, motivation, directing the mind toward an intention. And we do a little Qigong experiment here. And if you bring your hands to the level of the heart, and if you imagine that you are drawing a bow, and so let's take your left hand, I'll bring my right hand forward. So you're drawing a bow, that's the inhalation. And at the exhalation, you bring hands back, level of the heart. And then inhale, drawing a bow. And exhale. Beautiful. Inhale. And exhale. So the attention goes just at the level of the fingertips as you inhale, stretching that left hand out, right hand back. And now, is it easier to aim your intention when you have something to look at? So what brings you here now as you focus the attention on an intention? You're kind of shooting an arrow toward what you want in life here. Perhaps to learn, or to grow, or to experience the mind-body connection. So is it easier when there's movement than when there's just thoughts? Here's a question for us, an inquiry. Okay, coming back to center. And imagine you could bring that energy right into the body, into the center of the body. And then take your intention and just take it right up the center and offer it, your service, your intention, your reason, to all beings, and just let it come back down again. Okay. Let's try this to the other side. hands at the level of the heart. And with your right hand this time, inhaling out, left hand comes back, I'm mirroring you. And exhaling. Yeah, I'm mirroring you. So as you inhale, stretching forward and backward at the same time, as if you're aiming an arrow. And so what is it? Let's say in your life, what has life entrusted to you? And just aim right at the fingertips and draw it back with the inhalation and release it toward your intention. What has life entrusted to you? Your larger reason for being in this world. What has life entrusted to you? And notice if the movement and the breathing help you to focus the embodied intention, helps you to focus a little bit more clearly than the mind when it's relatively, let's say, unfocused. But if you have something to focus on in the field of time and space, gives yourself a little bit better aim, perhaps. We'll see what your experience is in a moment. And one more time. Inhaling, aiming, and exhaling. The level of the heart and the hara, the center of the body. Your intention, and then offer this intention up to all beings, all the way up and out, and just relax the hands down. And feel your body. Fingertips kind of pointed toward the earth. Breath in, breath out. Okay, so curious minds want to know, did it help you focus a little bit more using this kind of embodied way of aiming the mind's attention towards a target, if you will? Anybody? Mm-hmm. Okay. You got it? Great. Okay, how many won't raise your hand no matter what question I ask? There we go. Just curious. Because I was in that category a long, long time. And it's one of the reasons that brought me to Kripalu. I was in the category of, Gary Trudeau, who writes Doonesbury? Right. A great comedian, philosopher. And he says he was trying to find a lifestyle that doesn't require his presence. A lifestyle that doesn't require his presence. But in yoga and Qigong and these Eastern, the healing arts, the real question is, where is the presence? Where is the self? And it's always here. The body is always here. The heart is always here. The soul, the spirit, however you call it. But the mind can travel anywhere. The mind is a time traveler, a space traveler. So the question for us is how to use these mind-body tools for learning, for health, for healing, for growth, for creativity, whatever your intention is. And we specialize in a way in helping people to connect to their deeper lives, what life has entrusted to them, such that they can fulfill what life has entrusted to you. So we want to share a few of the connections that we have. We shared dinner last night with our friends Jack and Mary Beth, who's known for a long time, and I know a few other people, Sandy, Kim, people that we've studied and trained with at Kripalu and elsewhere. And we share this living at a destination. You have a marvelous destination here at Nantucket that, it's a little bit like bringing coals to Newcastle to bring mindfulness to Nantucketers, because you have preservation, conservation. It's an amazing island for, let's say, preserving what's best about the past and offering it to people who get away from, let's say, the cares and worries and the challenges of the busy lives that we lead. So we also live in a destination in the Berkshires, Western Mass. It's near Tanglewood, where the Boston Symphony has its summer home, and Kripalu Center for Yoga and Health. And so if you look out the window at the landscape at Kripalu, you see Monument Mountain. And it was there that Melville and Hawthorne, Nathaniel Hawthorne, the older man, took a picnic, and they went up the mountain, Monument Mountain. And if you look at it from the veranda at Kripalu, it looks a little bit like a whale coming out. It has this long, low silhouette. And so Melville and Hawthorne took this little trip, and the older Hawthorne, who had already written at that time The Scarlet Letter and The House of the Seven Gables and Tanglewood Tales, after which Tanglewood was named. Out of that little picnic, Melville wrote his famous Moby Dick. And Arrowhead, his home, is just a few minutes from us, a few miles from us. And so it's part of our history and yours, this connection to the whaling industry and to these tales. Well, what did Hawthorne and Melville write about? They wrote about psychological journey. What does the sea represent? And what does the whale represent? The sea is the unconscious, the subconscious, and this mighty creature, this whale, is the primal force, the primal forces, the underlying forces that come up from the depths. So we're very interested in yoga and Qigong and mind-body connection on these primal forces and how they work and how it directs and motivates human behavior. And so my other connection to Melville was this one. The only time I ever acted, although Leslie was an actor in college and beyond, the only role that I ever had was in another of Melville's stories, of Billy Budd. And so I was the naive sailor that meets Claggart. You remember who Claggart is? Claggart is the captain-at-arms, the disciplinarian. And so he's up on deck, and Billy Budd comes up, and he says, "The sea's calm tonight, isn't it, sir?" And Claggart says, "The sea's deceitful, boy. Calm above and underneath a world of gliding monsters, preying on their fellows. Murderers, murderers, all of them. Only the sharpest teeth survive." This is Claggart's worldview. Listen to this carefully. "The sea's calm tonight, isn't it, sir? The sea's deceitful, boy. Calm above, underneath a world of gliding monsters, preying on their fellows. Murderers, murderers, all of them. Only the sharpest teeth survive." What a worldview that is, isn't it? Can you imagine having that worldview, that perspective? Quite incredible, isn't it? So it leads, of course, to the demise of the naive sailor, kind of a Christ-like figure in a way, sacrificial lamb in the face of this enormous, let's say, greed, hatred, and delusion, one might say, of Claggart's worldview. And we're very interested in yoga and meditation and Qigong on these primal forces, the lower forces. Let's say the forces that come out of the sea, that are represented in Melville's tale of the whale, by these primal forces that come up from the subconscious. And in yoga, we have this idea of the chakra system. Chakra system, the lowest three chakras are survival, sensuality, and let's say power, right? So we shortcut it. We just say money, sex, and power. Money, sex, and power. These forces, the lower forces, the primal forces that move us. But the great leap from these lower forces is the fourth chakra here in the heart. And it helps us to, say, integrate these lower chakras, the more primal forces, into this great leap into compassion, into connection, into empathy. And it's our great good fortune that we have these tools to share. Because otherwise, can you imagine living with the view of Claggart, where life is nothing but a struggle, and only the sharpest teeth survive? So let's have an experience of this. let's see what is the whale, let's say Ahab's whale, Claggart's whale, this whale of tension in your body. Think of an experience that brought you tension recently. An experience of, say, somebody right in your face saying, at work perhaps, "What's the matter with you? Can't you do that right?" Notice what happens in your body. "What's the matter with you? Can't you do that right?" What happens to your breath? Breathing, anyone? Yeah. It stops the breath, doesn't it? Because we get into this, fighting stance, either fight, flight, or freeze. It's cortisol, the adrenaline, is moving through the body. So how can we help ourselves with these kinds of situations? Is the question. How can we return to kind of resiliency after we have this kind of sharp encounter with reality? Let's take just a moment of, if you might have to sit forward in your chair, and just bring your hands to your kidneys. The kidneys right here in the low back. You might have to look a little, but it does bring you kind of more upright, doesn't it? Right, so the ears are over the hips. And if you just inhale and turn to your left, I'll mirror you, and exhale to center, and inhaling, and exhaling, and inhaling, and exhale. And so go side to side, inhaling and exhaling. So when we get aroused, when we get motivated by that Claggart kind of in your face, "What's the matter with you?" kind of arousal, the adrenals produce this cortisol, adrenaline for fight, flight, and freeze. And when they're overtaxed, and you can come to the center, relax the arms down, breath in, breath out. Take the shoulders up to the ears, squeeze them there, hold for a moment, and release. So when we're producing the adrenaline and the cortisol, we're not producing this DHEA hormone, which is the hormone that helps in rest and digest, the healing, cell regeneration and repair. So we have choices. When we stay in that hyper alert place, we can overtax the kidneys, and we not only lead a busy life, we also lead an exhausted life. Let's take a breath in, breath out. Just going to give you a moment. Turn to someone else and just notice, just check in with the person about that experience. Kidneys, experience of breath in, breath out. Just name what your experience is. Take a moment. All right. Okay. Just give you a chance to check in with one another. Let's do this. Someone's in your face. Remember this one? It's kind of a cortisol adrenaline rush. Or, when you're asked to do something that you perhaps don't want to do, but someone's right in your face asking you to do it. So that's the fist, okay? So make a fist, if you will. This will be our last experience of kind of uncomfortable sensation, okay? So this is someone in your face saying, "Oh, why didn't you do that right? What's the matter with you?" So someone's right in your face. Maybe this is an uncomfortable encounter with someone that you care for, or an acquaintance, or someone at the supermarket, somebody in front of you, or somebody out there in the street. And you're having an uncomfortable situation. Notice the uncomfortableness. You're face to face with someone who's asking you to do something, you don't want to do it, or you're in a harsh, uncomfortable encounter with someone. Okay? Think of a moment. Have you got a moment? A harsh, uncomfortable encounter with someone, represented by the fist. Okay? Now, you've got an uncomfortable situation here, represented by the fist, but does your jaw have to be tight? Does your chest have to be tight? Do your shoulders and your neck have to be tight? Even though this is happening, this uncomfortable feeling, someone's in your face or in the street, road raging, and it's uncomfortable, but does your belly have to be tight? Can the breath be deep, even though you're in an uncomfortable situation? Can you breathe? Relax everything else that isn't tight. Breathe, relax, and feel. Notice the rest of the body. Feet on the floor, shoulders relaxed, belly, heart open. Can you watch and allow things just to be the way they are, to accept reality as it is? Uncomfortable, but still, you're okay. Can you be uncomfortable and okay at the same time? Isn't that a little bit like life? A little bit like, does it sound a little bit like life? Yeah, life gets uncomfortable now and then. Okay, so breath in and breath out. If you slowly, you can see what a body of fear and a body of tension feels like over years. We asked a person who was taking guided relaxation with us. He was a captain in the military in the, do you feel that? Releasing it? He was a captain during Vietnam War, and he had 40 years of arthritis, really severe arthritis as a result of just clenching, never having been able to release those challenging events that he had experienced in Vietnam. And of course, we have many, many soldiers returning from Afghanistan and Iraq, and in similar situations. But we have better tools than we had in those days. And now, this fellow, we do a guided relaxation for him and many others to treat PTSD and many other kinds of things, insomnia and anxiety and depression and other quite common ailments. And so this fellow said, oh, I get what you're asking me to do. You're asking me to feel my body. Breathe, relax, feel. Feel. Watch and allow. And, with time, he was able to let that tension go through practicing these tools of mindfulness, of noticing where you're holding the tension in your body, and using the breath and the attention, the intention and the attention to help him and many, many others come to a healing place where these kidneys can start to produce the good hormones, the adrenaline, not the adrenaline, but the hormones, the DHEA, oxytocin, dopamine, and the other feel-good healing chemicals that the body is actually made of. So take a breath in and breath out. Oh, yes. So I think we want to take a few questions now. Would you like to come back here? Yeah, so thank you for your willingness to experience these kinds of experiential rather than PowerPoint.
Does anyone have any questions for Ken or Leslie? Somebody must have a question.
You're going to come back and do some workshops?
Indeed, we'd love to. Yeah, we gave a Qigong experience here. Tracy asked us to bring kind of wellness at work principles and practices here, and so we worked with the NHA staff doing Qigong. So it's a Chinese moving and breathing and focusing the attention a little bit like Chinese yoga. And we did that for the staff here. Yes.
She said that was wonderful, and that's why she's sitting here right now. She might not have come had she had not had the experience. Yeah.
This isn't a question,
Yeah.
but many of us have phobias, so forth. For instance, some of us don't like to get into elevators. And people will say to us, please, get over it. It's all in your head. And you want to say to that person, of course it's in my head. Where else would it be? Could you speak to that?
The practice that we do, breathe, relax, feel, watch, and allow, means that we welcome it, So you may not be ready to get into that elevator in the moment, but you can start by, getting into something that's, let's say a little larger than an elevator. And then you kind of, but through this practice of habituation, you start to gradually get into a smaller and smaller place. But by welcoming the sensations rather than resisting them, because what you resist persists. And if you push against it, it will push back. Whatever we used to say at Kripalu, whatever is not integrated into your life as workshop leaders, because we train workshop leaders, whatever is not integrated into your life will surely walk through the door wearing a name tag disguised as a guest. Whatever is not integrated into your life will surely walk through the door wearing a name tag disguised as a guest. And so you get to see your phobia. You get to see what you're pushing against, because it will surely show up for you. And so how to work with phobias is to work with them gently, kindly, with compassion, and slowly over time, come into a smaller and smaller space where you can start to work with it. But accepting the feelings that go with it, because the feelings will rise up like a wave, and then they'll pass away. So that's the practice of welcoming, rather than resisting or pushing. Because pushing takes energy, doesn't it? You can get exhausted by pushing against life, against reality.
Thank you. How does the mind help somebody who has had an illness that attacks the immune system?
An illness that
Attack the immune one of the side of that system,
yeah.
the weakened immune system.
It's a complicated question. I mean, that's really, there are more and more of these diseases that attack the immune system today. And it's really quite curious, isn't it? Why does this occur? And, there are many, many theories about it, but there seems to be more of them today. And that's a curious thing, why the immune system is the very thing that is here designed to protect us, and yet the immune system sometimes turns on itself. It's curious. I'm not an expert in that area, but it's an interesting mind-body. Yeah, it is a very interesting mind-body connection. Maybe we have some people here who are experts in that area.
Anyone else? No? All right. If you have any further questions, please feel free to see Ken and Leslie after the presentation. But let's all join together and give them a great big thank you for coming here today.